Hey everybody,
I'm Caleb.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Will.
And we are Working Title.
No. Peace.
Sorry.
No enemies.
Guys, we're back. It is the season finale of Season 2 of VINLAND SAGA. Episode's called Home. Looks like we are going home. Hopefully we will be having no trouble getting to mom and sister, and hopefully they are well and alive. So, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. Your hype for Season 3. How did you like this season as a whole? Make sure to stay for the post-talk. This is the finale, so we're going to talk our feelings over Season 2 as a whole. And yeah, we'll see you in the finale. Or we'll see you in the reaction. Love you guys. Punch it.
Yeah. We really going home. Hopefully Einar likes this.
It's gonna be freezing cold.
It's so freaking cold.
じゃあ島民はみんな羊飼いや牛飼いなんですか？いや、職人や漁師もおるよ。
Everyone tours over and learn how to make like a pot.
Speaking of settlers of Catan, all I'm thinking of is you got your rock resources, your sheep, and your wheat. We're missing the clay and tree options. So you gotta stockpile and make quick deals with the bank.
Yeah, dude. I don't know.
You'll have to ask your sister.
Other Torfin always looks alarmed. Home.
Oh! Look at him.
I suddenly feel scared.
I'm sure that's so insane.
My prodigal son. I'm sure his sister's probably gonna get wild.
Yelva, are the boys still chasing after you in storms? Swarms.
She's probably married him.
Did she marry Ari? Oh, I wonder if like any of his friends are still like alive and kicking it, chilling here.
Do they know they're coming? Who's he? Who's he?
ユルバに弟なんていたか？じゃあ俺の名前を言ってみな。え？ここに住んでたならわかるはずだ。
I don't know who that is.
Facts! It's the kid he played swords with. First to get killed.
He got it wrong. Should we tie him up? Mr. Leaf, help me out, man. Come on, help me out. Oh my god.
She's an enforcer.
Somebody had to do it.
Turn around, I'm so excited. Oh wow. Such a pronounced face.
I had a feeling that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
When's the last time Leaf's been back here? Who is this man?
We gotta share something only you two would know. Look at those eyeballs.
They're not even in his head anymore.
She inherited Tor's monster strength
And stature.
and stature.
Aw, he feels so defeated.
So upsetting.
仕方ないよな。俺だって 姉上や母上の顔を忘れかけてた。
十何年さまよって生きて親の顔を拝めるんだ。幸運に拝まなきゃバチ当たるぜ。俺はガキの頃に親と生き別れて今どこにいるかもわからねえ。
Yeah. At least you get this chance.
羨ましいぜお前が。
Alright.
なんなら俺が代わりに親孝行してきてやる。
I'll go do it.
いや、すまん、ギョロ。ありがとう。
He needs a real name.
Oh my gosh. Yelva's children.
Probably.
Boy looks just like Thorfinn. Look at him mom.
ばあちゃん、トルフィンって誰？トルフィン。
Come on.
Oh man.
トルフィン。
おふくろ
What are you doing? Mom! Mother!
こっちが
She can
I was gonna
tell.
say she knows her son.
He looks like Tor's.
大きくなって。
Yeah, he does.
おかえり。トルフィン。
Leaf's a good man.
I was gonna say good job, Leaf. Thank you, thank you, thank
He
you.
looked like he was about to start crying too.
Oh,
Hey,
he
okay.
did marry. Okay, cool.
おかえり。
Oh my gosh.
トルフィン。
Wow.
Give him a hug.
俺。
You lost a tooth.
Yeah.
Probably from Yelva punching him.
聞いてよ母上。あの凍結商人、また塩の値段を。
That's what
さっきの家にまで上がり込みやがって。
And hold my daughter.
お邪魔しています。なんだ、ユルバ、聞いてないぞ。
Ma, so
Get rich.
fast.
Get rich.
本物よ。本当にトルフィンが帰ってきたのよ。
Why doesn't she believe? Look at his face.
まさか嘘だ。レイフさんの作り話じゃ。
You're strangling your brother to death.
本当？
Look how big she is. Damn.
She took more after Torkel. Inherited Torkel's genes.
トルフィン。
姉上。
He went to space. Thor.
The hammer of Thor.
Oh my god.
Why is she so powerful?
Again. She took more after Thor's than Torkel.
He has no pupils.
He is physically unconscious right now.
Took 100 hits from the other episode, 1 hit from Yelva.
He got struck stupid. Oh no.
Yeah. You can take 100 hits from normal men. You can't take hits from the whatever last name their family is.
The daughter of the troll.
Snorson, whatever the hell.
He's gonna join and beat up all the kids.
Beat
Finally,
up.
I can win.
Yeah, see, this is what Tor's was doing right before they left. Or right before, I think, Floki
トル
showed
フィ
up.
ンはこれまでの16年間に経験したことを家族に語って聞かせた。
俺の次は重い。行かなきゃならない。 平和の国を築くために。
この世界から逃げ出したいと思っている人は大勢います。私とトールズも戦士の国ヨムスボルグから逃れ、
But even this
こっち
wasn't
に
far enough.
来ました。そのために生きなさい。トールズの子、
That's
トールズ。
そもそも資金だ。それだけの大金、そう簡単には集められんぞ。わしの助けがなければな。
What's the next arc?
ありがとう。
What do we have to the financial arc,
Get rich quick arc.
the business arc,
さすがに
business model?
そんなうまくいくの？
Oh wow, did they recover his stuff? Towards his stuff, I mean.
Looks like it.
まったく本当についてっちゃうとはね。
誰の墓なんだ。
Is it the slave?
昔
Yeah.
父上が守ろうとした人だ。
ね
Is the younger self? Oh my
え、ここ
gosh.
からも逃げたい人はどこに行くの？
Wow. Oh my gosh, and he's in his father's place now.
Yeah.
That's so wild. Oh!
もう分かってるんだろう。
Sheesh. Oh. Alright, we're gonna get a glance at the future characters again. Characters to come up. It was nice to see them again.
Yeah.
I always thought the mom was gonna die. I'm so happy she didn't.
Yeah, I'm glad that she's still alive. Oh wow, flashback.
Younger
Young
self.
lady.
Holy moly.
Yeah, look at that boy.
What? Who was that?
What did you lose, Leaf?
Is that Ascalon?
Oh boy.
That was cool to see. Oh, the manga panel. It looks sick. It's nice to see it colorized.
I like him with the short hair again.
Oh, he looks handsome and sweet. I love this. Oh, I didn't realize like his kid hair.
Yeah.
Oh no. You have to wait for more. I don't wanna.
It's gonna be a little late.
I don't wanna wait.
What a
That was
journey.
all. I mean, that was basically like 6 months ago, right? We started watching this again. Wasn't it like
I guess so.
the beginning of the year?
4 episodes a month, roughly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez. Well, after half a year of turmoil, despair, farming simulator,
And learning to be better.
and learning to be better, we have come to a conclusion. I think I need a nap. I think that's what I need.
A nap
A nap.
because of what we've experienced in the show.
Yeah. I think I'm like I said, I think probably like last week or something. This Vinland is a show that I do think about in my spare time. More just like the essence of like the feelings it gives me rather than my typical what's gonna happen next. I don't like super theory craft when it comes to like a show like this. It's more of just the feeling and how it affects me in my day to day.
Yeah.
So I can at least rest easy. I think that's what I mean by like I can just rest now, because this isn't the type of show that it's like if I don't sure I want it, and right now 5 months from now I also don't mind waiting. I thought of like even like the transition from season 1 to season 2, how appropriate it felt jumping into season 2 having that wait, because I think I needed that wait time to really feel the gravity of Vinland before I jumped into what season 2 was going to be preparing its audience for
Yeah.
Coming off of like season 1. It would be a very wild experience. I know there are people and reactors out there that got to join the journey with us when season 2 was getting hyped. So they ran through season 1 right into season 2. That's such a wild thing to me though, because it's the seasons are very drastically different in nature, or at least in the presentation style. Season 1 does match up perfectly to what season 2 its intentions are, but it's a lot more hidden. So for like, obviously for anyone who hasn't watched the past 24 weeks of people's thoughts on season 2, the amount of people that backed off because the show is actually showing what it's really about a little bit more obviously. It's such a wild thing to jump into. Anyway, as to season 3, I'm excited for the wait because now I get to sit on this really for like real amounts of time, rewatch it all because I haven't rewatched any of the episodes other than editing, and really like feel it out as a whole like orchestrated piece. But this has been great.
This has been a wonderful journey to be on, and even though the presentation is different, it's also like the different stages of Torfinn's life that we got to experience. In season 1, it's very much like his childhood plus, his warrior years, and then this season is like his lost years, and then him like finding the man who Tors was and who he wants to be. But yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. It's been a beautiful story from start to finish, from beginning of season 2 all the way up to now. And
I remember there was a day. Sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I remember there was a day before season 2 started, and me and Caleb were coming from getting food somewhere, and I think you had already like looked into like the projection of how much the show there still is to watch. Season 2 had not come out yet, so I hadn't witnessed it, but that's when I was like on my rewatch of season 1 and really started getting into it. I was listening to Phil and Buff talk about it too, and like getting a better understanding from other minds other than our own friend group, hear some other people's breakdowns. And I remember just thinking how I expected the show to come to a conclusion, or at least I thought to myself, what do I want from the show? And in reality, everything that we got this season basically gave me exactly what I wanted. Like, we got a great in-depth deconstruction and reconstruction of who Torfinn ends up being, which at very minimum is all I wanted. Like, I didn't know it would go to this extent, but like I just wanted his character to feel promising as a protagonist and live up to the void, and I wanted him to come home. Well, no matter what adventures he was going to be stuck doing, I wanted him to make his way home, and we got all that.
Yeah.
And so today, like, just seeing it and having it happen, I'm actually content. And the reason I brought up the portion with you is because at the time you didn't know how far it was going to go, or the way you and this might have been because we didn't have full knowledge of the show yet, but you framed it in a way that it felt like there wasn't much more story other than like maybe a season and a half's worth. And obviously we know now that they're still working on the story. It's not a finished manga, and I think they are getting close to a conclusion, but I don't think it's more than like a season 3 worth of storytelling. From what I understand, once again, this is very limited. I don't really look online because I don't want to get spoiled.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's like 4 seasons worth, or if it's just like a 3rd season. They're just trying to finalize it and then turn it from manga to anime.
Yeah.
But I've actually gotten everything that I would at least want from the story. I think mostly because my heart knows doing the Vinland thing is such a far-fetched and hard thing to do.
Yeah.
I don't know how well Vikings got to establish themselves in the Americas. We talked about that in our one-off series of the Viking reaction show, the live action, kind of talking about like where could that possibly go with the Ube story. But same thing here. All I know is Leif Erikson establishes a place in like 1092 or something in America, and that Torfinn has some significance in history, but that's about it. And also, Leif already did the thing that I'm aware of. He touched America. I don't know how much more there is to that story other than that early establishment that is established in the first episode of Vinland, or second episode.
I mean, even if this isn't that historically accurate, it's fine, It's its
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
I mean it's its own world at this point to me.
Yeah.
Um,
This doesn't feel like our Scandinavia. This feels like alternate reality Scandinavia at this point to me.
To me, it feels more accurate than Vikings and Vikings Valhalla.
Yeah, no. It can be more accurate. I'm just saying that if the story doesn't, if they go to Vinland and then it's, if they go to Vinland, they're only going to live there for like 1, maybe 2, 3 generations of, people. They're not going to establish like a colony of this land, a greater idea of what they're doing. But, at bare minimum, even if they fail trying, or if it does be successful in this world, that's fine for the story,
Yeah. I think that's not where my excitement is. If I'm going forward with the show, like where my excitement will come in is more on the Canute portion with Thorfinn, like how those two will once again come in contact maybe one day, as I teased that in the past 2 episodes. Or also, where do we go with the ideology now? Where do we go with this mentality? How do we spread it? How do people take it with these people groups? How do we apply it to real life scenarios rather than just let's go and establish?
For sure, yeah.
I think that's where my heart is. I think that's where my love really came from the show, and that's where my going forward is. But this finale is pretty tame. Not bad.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they were just tying up the end of the story of the journey from Kettle's farm to where we are now. I mean, Thorfinn managed to make it home. He was nervous of what was to come, and he was scared to face the unknown of his family, the people that he lived with. And, immediately he's met with people that, of course, they were all 6 years old when they met each other. So, or when they last saw each other. So seeing everybody as an adult, they have no idea who's who or who each person is. He's then met with his sister, who completely blows him off, thinks he's lying, beats him up.
Lifts him up straight in the air. Who do you think you are?
Yeah. Leaf then takes him to his mother's place, and, instantly his mom is able to recognize, who he is. Just by the sheer fact that he looks like Tor's.
Yeah.
Short blonde.
I like
Yeah.
that she has Ylva has Tor's build and Thorfinn has Helga's build.
Yeah.
That's very cute.
That is very funny.
Also, I go back and forth. I'm not overly crazy at the comedy. Not in this show. Not for me.
Yeah.
It's not a me thing. I think in the moment I giggle, and then I think as a whole, I'm just like, damn.
It comes out of left field.
Yeah.
For something.
Just doesn't do it for me. Not what I wanted for my finale per se. The show, this whole season's been so damn weighty that I was actually right there with Thorfinn, being nervous, and it was sweet to see Helga, but I don't know. I think the over dramatization was a little bit frustrating.
Yeah.
It was weird. It's both cute and also not what I want for this show. Does that make sense?
I mean, it's what was it? Was it last episode where? Oh yeah, it's last episode because they got on the boat. But somebody in our Discord sent the manga panel where they're saying goodbye and Snake says his name and stuff, and Thorfinn's face is all mashed up. But in the manga, it's played for laughs because he has a speech impediment because his face is all destroyed. And they play it more for laughs and also sincerity. But for the show, they put it full of sincere, a full sincere goodbye, all respect, and no goofiness.
It didn't turn into a bit.
Yeah, because it was in the manga, it was a bit because Thorfinn's oh thank you, because his mouth is all busted and his face is all scrunched up.
Yeah, and
so it just comes out of nowhere.
That's why I said it. For this show, I'll at least be a little picky or pick and choosy. If you want to have certain characters that are the comic relief, and that's how we see them, so be it. If we have a Torkel, and every time we see him, we should just take it lightly, it's fine. If we have Kettle, and that's why it's weird, because then you have moments like Kettle and Torgil's bowling him with a bowling lane, and then the next episode he's beating a woman with a stick.
Kills a pregnant
It's
woman.
it's not exactly how I enjoy shows. Helga, or Ylva.
Ylva.
She is a funny character in the first like 4 episodes of the show. She, the thing that is consistent is her way of dealing with stress. Like in season 1, she did pretend like it's not a big factor that her dad just died. She went and got started on doing work and pretended like it wasn't a big deal. So I liked that. That fell in line. So that's like, I don't know. I know that's like super nitpicky, but I'm allowed to be. I'm never nitpicky with this show.
Yeah.
I always compliment it. But
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not perfect.
So, and I waited for this for so long, so, and we have time. Season 3, I'm sure we'll talk all this stuff out more. The mother might beg for more details, because he did say that we only went to key components, very brushed over bullet points of the story, because I'm sure Torfinn's not overly excited to share every single thing that has haunted him. At least that's how whoever the narrator was, I think it was Tor's actually narrating, I couldn't tell, narrating, saying that he was just covering the basic parts of like where his emotions have been tied these past years, like the hate, the despair, the sorrow, the joy, or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't really see why they would go back and touch on it again. I mean, she's very well, like she grew, like unlike all the people who were there were raised on Iceland except for her, and they all were horrified, but because they even said, the narrator says, like, they were all, even though he was giving very like broad what happened in his experience, they were all blown away by the life he's lived. And but for her, she doesn't, like, maybe she will go for more context, but the fact that she is like a daughter of like the leader of the Vikings and she lived that lifestyle, I can't imagine that she is like aloof to what Torfinn was doing in those years.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
I just use the mom as an example. It doesn't have to be the mom per se, but like maybe just anyone exploring Torfinn and what he did and how they will react to it in the future. Like, it just I want to see more of people and their thoughts on Torfinn, I guess, going forward then.
yeah.
Because it might get brought up in a more sinister light, because heaven forbid somebody doesn't like Torfinn in the next season, and then he has to explain himself on a deeper level, and then it might come off kind of icky for them to have to hear a real detailed story of something he did.
Yeah.
I mean, because he's not done pleasant stuff. And even to have it as a reminder for, like, the mother, for example.
Yeah.
I'm sure she didn't even like it when Torres might have done stuff. Or how privy Torres was to sharing things to her. Because he was a private man as well. Who knows? I don't know. These characters are not very full in the show. They're limited characters. We don't know everything about their personality, and I don't know. It's hot in this house. I'm sweating.
You're good.
What about you?
What part?
Any thoughts on the finale?
I'm in the same boat with the comedy bits getting old pretty fast. Like, the first one, pretty funny, then they go back. It felt like they were trying to do a callback to something you watched 30 seconds ago. But other than that, I think it's like a solid, like very solid finale. It gave me what I wanted. I didn't think we'd be going, like, I thought they'd get sidetracked somehow, because I didn't think we'd be going home this soon. For some reason, I thought we'd, like, end up somewhere else, because like, we just watched the One Piece intros. I thought this was going to be like One Piece, where the One Piece in this case is getting back to Iceland to see Mom. Okay. I thought they're going to end up, like, mixed up with something else.
Yeah.
The third season adventure.
Yeah, the third season's like, shit, guys, we got to go home again. We got to get off of wherever we are and go home.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that we got to see Mom again, got to see Sister again, got to see his Ari, is that his friend's name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Ylva's love interest, yeah.
Yeah. And she's got a couple little kids, little Torfinn looking kids.
I like the little Easter eggs in this episode. Not like Easter eggs, but like callbacks in this episode. Starting off, we touched the land, and the first person we meet is Foxy. And he's the little boy in like the first few episodes who's laying next to Torfinn after the fight. And Torfinn goes, "Foxy, you always die first." And he's like, "Shut up, we don't talk, we're dead."
We died. Who's this guy? We should tie him up.
Your call back to the pot that Thor is humbling himself to find a new craft.
Yeah.
There was another one
The
that
hill,
I
the
thought
grave.
of. The hill, the slave that got buried by the family. That great callback because that's like the first establishing idea as to who this family is.
Yeah.
Their values.
And then the chest with all of Tor's memorabilia.
Right.
But now the sword is broken.
Right, so I remembered. So, yeah, I was thinking, like, they threw it off the boat, but no. So, Tor's sword broke on the boat. He stole Askeladd's sword, threw it into the water. Right,
yeah.
so, it's like somebody swam after that?
Yeah, no.
Did he snap the sword over his knee?
The sword shattered because
slice.
he was just being super aggressive.
Oh.
Yeah,
I thought it was something insane, like he shattered it over his leg.
No,
I might be
no.
thinking of a different show.
I think that's a different show.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was nice to have all like the beginnings of season 1, like the first 3 episode callbacks.
Yeah, they hit most of the things that because I just watched them. I said a month or two ago or whatever that I watched the first 2. I just rewatched the first 4 yesterday with my mother. So
yeah, yeah, but it was definitely nice to see all of that put together. But I'm with you too. Like I honestly I feel very satisfied with where everything kind of tied off. And even the making of the plan to go to Vinland, but also ending with Thorfinn getting that reassurance from the memory of his father of hey, what's the next thing, or where should we be going? And he's like, oh, you already know.
You know
what
this
I mean?
now.
I know it was more so from a spiritual perspective when
Right.
little Thorfinn was talking about it, but it's the idea that Thorfinn is trying to live out today.
And when I say I'm actually satisfied, I feel it feels very much like, if you don't understand this, I'm sorry, but for any AOT fans, if you watched up to season 3's finale and then you thought that was the end, it gives you everything you need. You feel like you have most of the answers that you feel are satisfying, and it gives a decent conclusion where there's obviously a hint towards more to be learned. But if that was to be where the story decided to take an end because, heaven forbid, writers or something happened, it's not the worst. Yeah, we didn't get to go to Vinland. Yeah, we didn't get to go and do the challenge that Canute gave us. But I wouldn't be hard-pressed if something happened.
Yeah.
If it would just be, you would just have to frame it more as the personal journey of Thorfinn beginning to end, and this is how it ends.
Yeah.
Rather than the expansion on what he learned. Obviously, I think the show's intent is to take what you've learned and share it. And I think that's what the next show is going to be, is taking this newfound wisdom and not just keeping it to yourself, but going forward and encouraging it into others.
Yeah.
And that is what I expect from season 3. It might not be that at all, but I think that's the exciting thing about season 3 too, going forward, is being having that sense, just like AOT, feeling that catharsis on an end point. Now I don't have to worry. We can go forward, and if it's not as good as I want, well, at least I got what I wanted in completion, and we can go forward and see if it lives up to what I've already enjoyed.
Yeah.
And then there's the optimistic sense that it could be even better.
Yeah.
We can go forward, and it's even better, and we get more of it. So, any other thoughts on this single episode?
No.
It was nice to see the mom.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice to see her. I always was kind of being a pessimist when it came to her, thinking that she wasn't going to make it, because they always hinted at her bad health. I'm so glad to see that she's kicking it. It's nice to see that Ari got the girl, got Ylva. He's got funky teeth, work on that. I love that the child looks just like Thorfinn, or one of the kids looks just like Thorfinn. Beautiful, yeah. So, season 2. A massive-ass season.
This season just felt like such an undertaking. We went through so many shifts and
Feels like
plot and ideals. I feel like there's 3 or 4 arcs within one season just coming and going, and they all felt massive, but also very closed in because we were mostly just on a farm the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
Sheesh. Yeah.
Nothing was to a grand scale until kind of the end. The battle and stuff. Everything else was very isolated but felt huge.
Yeah.
And this is going to be one of those, this breakdown. I mean, we don't have to do a full breakdown because we've done
We've been pretty thorough.
pretty thorough for the post talks as a whole. like it's more comes down to the bullet points, like Torfin did. The bullet points for you guys, because we started the season, we got to meet Einar, obviously, had a little run-in with Kettle, and ultimately getting to Kettle's farm, getting to meet the Kettle family and some of the establishing figures like Olmar and Snake, and obviously the reintroduction of Torfin in a completely different state than we're used to with him.
Husk mode.
Complete shell of a man. We also got to see the nuanced and intricate manner of Kettle's farm and how it's such an isolated incident in a slave economy with a very unique take on allowing those that work under you to actually have a chance to rise and gain back your independence.
Yeah.
Which is, a very unique thing to see in terms of media consumptions. We got a brief glimpse at Canute. We got to have what people call the farming simulator, where we actually spent episodes trying to get a horse and trying to sow the fields and
the field getting sabotaged, trying to deal with people bullying you at your slave farm.
Meanwhile, during all these first 10 episodes, we deal with Torfin in this horrible state, this the weight of his own sins, the complementary personality of Einar, and how somebody like him actually helped raise him back up. To see somebody being willing to forgive, giving that little breakthrough, that little cornerstone pebbling of Torfin's journey to having to forgive himself, accept himself, and go forward.
Yeah.
We got that great episode with the skulls and hell in Oath.
Torfin nightmares all across the beginning too.
Very, very strong first 10 episodes.
Yeah.
And then Cursed Head, I think, is where we lead into the Canute resurgence back into the show, where we deal with him and his plot kind of against the Kettle family.
Yeah.
We got to meet Torgil, Wolf, see the inner workings of what Canute's been up to, which I think that then basically segues us into
Gardar.
Escaped slavery arc.
Right. Another really compelling arc. I know a lot of people actually thought this was probably the low point in the show. It was definitely the slowest point in the show. Yeah. I'll agree with you on that, but also it had a lot of stellar moments to help make characters make the choices that will then influence what goes forward.
Yeah.
How they will react to things in the future and what their stances will be. And then, of course, leading into the great battle, or the short-lived battle, I should say. And then the final confrontation. Goodness gracious.
These past 3 episodes have been certified bangers, though.
Certified. Yeah, no, it's very... I'm with you. The Gardar story was very slow. I personally was not a big fan of, the farming portion. That 3 episode span or 4 episode span before... I mean, it's really, the beginning of the story... till Torfin realizes who he is. Once he realizes who he is, then it kind of gets really into the nitty gritty of the farm stuff, and that's kind of where I get lost until Canute is reintroduced.
Oh, so you're saying you don't get lost during the farm portion? You get lost when the Gardar section?
No, I'm saying the beginning, all of the farming stuff until Torfin realizes who he is, I was not a big fan of.
Okay, so you weren't the biggest of everything up.
Yeah, I mean it's still good. I enjoyed seeing Einar, Einar and Torfin try and build a connection. There's redeeming portions. To me, just the low point is that see episode 6 to 8, range, right before Torfin has his hell experience, if you want to call it that. But although Gardar's story is definitely the slowest, but I'm with you. I mean, it has the most impact for how Torfin and Einar plan to live out the rest of their lives and how they're going to resolve, the battle for Kettle and his farm.
Gosh, man, I'm just trying to. I'm looking at all these episodes, trying to. I have 2 of my favorites picked out.
I have 3.
I'm trying to find where my third one is. I have a. It's hard. Okay. And then how are you feeling about like the structure of this season 2?
The one big credit I'll give the Gardar arc is it has the only fair fight in the entire season.
That is true.
The rest of the fights were either slaughters or like pathetic.
Right, and you talking about Snake versus Torfin?
Yeah, Snake versus Torfin. The other fights was like Omar versus a guy that they try to force him to kill or whatever.
And Thorgil.
And then Thorgil eviscerating like 5 or 6 people on his own or whatever. But Snake versus Torfin was like the only fight where where it was like two people of equal skill going at it, and it was pretty satisfying to watch.
I already know what the fan favorites like are. Like I feel like it's pretty based off like view wise who tunes into our videos. It's clear which ones are the ones that people tune in for the most.
Yeah.
First of all, that's not to discredit. There's a reason they're good, and there's a reason people love them. I think there's 4 that are the biggest standout for people as a whole. I think the first obvious big one was Oath, because you have the return of Askeladd, you have the return of our season 1ers tormenting Torfin in hell. And it's a huge visual diagram of how he sees himself. I think people really come back for the thing. It's the road home is that the fight with Gardar and Snake, I think, is the other one people really love. And then, of course, the most recent 2, the King of Rebellion and 2 Paths. Those are the 4 toppers. Without question, in terms of view count for our channel, and I assume for other people's channel too, you'll see a spike. So that is the obvious structure of what I think is the most loved episodes. Honestly, it's most likely going to be where my 3 place. Real quick though, structure-wise, I'm a little bit opposite than you guys. I actually really do like the first half significantly. I really like. I love. It's not a. I don't want this to come off wrong. I actually love seeing Torfin, his moments of horrid despair, and like his battles of his own character. I'm not alone when I say that I feel like he's super relatable to that degree, that like self-hating, self-loathing that people can come across. And it was really cool to see that fleshed out.
Yeah.
In an anime. Definitely for only people that deal with loneliness or like self-hatred, I think it's a really good way to tackle these kind of stories. And it's super not revealing, but feelings of relief to have these stories kind of shared out to the public. And I know that like the inside joke is everybody wants to be like Torfin, and I'm sure there are actually many people that actually feel that way too, but I can definitely say this show has been super impactful. So I really liked those ones that tackled kind of the slow build of his darker nature before things became a little bit brighter.
Is episode 8 the one where he's talking with Sphyrkle on the beach?
Empty Man. These are the episodes where he does sit with him and these are the episodes
he's like,
where
you're empty, which means you can be filled with many better things. Yeah.
Exactly.
I think that one might be like my favorite.
It was one of the best ones of the episode. Once again, when I was saying the ones that people love, this wasn't unloved, but it's not like the big ones. But Empty Man's one of the best ones because of that kind of idea. When you have
just
nothing,
that might be my favorite.
Then you can fill it with something new to fill your heart. I think if I had to choose a weakest section for me, it was the return to Canut's story and the Thorgil, or that family's like the conspiracy that had to go on between all of them before we broke away from that plot. I actually was very emotionally involved with the Gardar story and Arnhide. I really liked that. And then this was just kind of epic. The end half with the fighting, it was all epic. Yeah. I kind of see it as like 4 sections to me.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It feels like 4 or 5 arcs stuffed into 24 episodes.
Yeah.
And it felt like a lot, but in like a good way.
Yeah. Like, I don't think any of the story is necessarily like weak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like overall this season to me is like a 9. I feel, for me at least. But even the weaker portions aren't even that bad. Because, like, as you're talking through it, it's like, actually, yeah, I do. It's been a long time, so it feels it's hard to remember. But I did enjoy the farming portion. It was just the parts where they were like actually just farming, where I was like, oh, like all the personal development of Torfin in that stage is very good, and even that Empty Man episode is one of my favorites. And the chats with Spherical. There are just some portions where it's like, this just isn't as interesting. Even within episodes themselves, and not really like the overarching of like each section's story.
Yeah, I guess.
Do you want to have your favorite three?
It sucks because there are so many.
There are a lot.
I hate to be the guy to pick. There's so many good ones. It's hard to pick. But like 8 and 9 are just so close. Like in rank to me, I don't want to put one over the other at all. But I guess I'll do. I'll do 8 just because the beach conversation is like my favorite in the show, and then 9, and then what's the second to last one called? The 2 whatever.
2 Paths.
Yeah, the 2 Paths. That's my third.
That might be mine.
That's frustrating because that's mine too.
It's funny because episode 22 it has the line "I have no enemies," but it's
like I could honorable mention that one, I guess. But
yeah.
I really like.
I like the resolution.
Yeah, the resolution between him and Canute, like the actual conversation was more important to me than his finding his resolve or whatever.
Yeah, both of them
and
posture.
Even Courage is a good episode too, because I'm getting them confused too, because Courage is also the one where Torfin and Omar display different forms of courage.
Yeah,
and that's where the 100 punches starts.
That's where we're gonna start. Then this is the punches, and then leads up to meeting Canute, of which then
Canute gets resolved in 2 Paths.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me it'll probably be 8, 9, and 2 Paths as well. Exactly. Empty Man, Oath, and 2 Paths.
I might do.
I also love First Method.
I might do The Road Home.
Okay.
As number 3. I think I'm gonna do 2 Paths. As number. Shit.
It's so
it's
hard.
It's interchangeable.
It's so difficult.
I'm literally just doing this just for the sake that we do it on the channel at this point.
Cursed Head was so good too.
I'll say 2 Paths as number 2.
Iron Fist
I'm
Kettle
switching
was
it.
so good too.
Empty Man is number 3. 2 Paths is number 2, and the long, whatever it's called, the long road, the road home is number 1 for me. The long and winding road.
The road.
Whatever. It is what it is. I can change it next year. Shut up.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite characters. I'm actually more curious to know where you guys land with your 3 favorite characters. I will say.
Oh no.
I'll say number 1 is. I don't know.
You gotta pick.
You pick.
I'm still thinking.
I'll go. I'd say number 1, Dream Sequence Askeladd, which is just Torfin's mind.
That's stupid.
Why is that stupid?
No, it's not actually stupid. You're just goofy.
How is that goofy? I said a normal... Alright, whatever.
So
I say
number
one serious thing, Will's like, oh, that's so silly.
So
That wasn't actually silly.
Number 1, Dream Sequence Askeladd.
Yeah, so that... 2 is like between Leaf and Spherical. It's so hard. I have to pick one old man. I'll pick Leaf. Just because overall, like, through the overall story, he did more. And 3, I'll throw Einar, just for being, early on being Torfin's, like, new backbone, like, watching his back, being his brother. I really appreciated his character.
I think number 1 for me. Oh my gosh, I hate this so much.
This pisses me off, bro.
Okay, I got it. Number 1 is... we'll do Torfin. Number 1 is Torfin. Number 2 is Spherical. Number 3 is Arnhide. And my honorable mention I'm going to use. It's Einar. I love Spherical. I'll start Torfin. I don't care what people say, or if they meme it, and they don't take it serious. I think Torfin was a phenomenal protagonist in this show. He might not be the run-of-the-mill protagonist for what people want from a main character to lead the show, But you know what? Not every character has to be exactly what you pin them to be as your leading character in a show. I don't care. I found him thoroughly enjoyable. I think he's super relatable. My heart breaks for him. Watching his journey has been nothing short of encouraging and enlightening. And yeah, awesome for me. Inspiring. Sverkel, amazing. I love him. I love older characters in shows. I love when there's someone that has the wisdom beyond not only their years. He's an old man, so I can't even say that. But an old man beyond his generation or time period. He's a man far advanced than I think people give him credit, and he doesn't even care to give his own credit to himself. And he is both humble and fabricates his fakeness. Like there's nothing inauthentic about him. He is the real deal. He's a solid man. I would love to have somebody like that in my own life. I hate to see him go because I don't really think he'll return to the show. And he's one of those characters where every second he's on the screen, I sit forward because I'm excited to learn from what he has to say. And that just goes to show for the writing, because if the writers are capable of making somebody like that, that's awesome. Yeah. Arnheid, holy moly. I love her with all my heart. I love her. Such a character of tragedy. Once again, another character that just absolutely breaks my heart and is a byproduct of a woman that doesn't belong here. I don't know why that qualifies her as my top 3, other than just I felt her so much. And then Einar, he's just great. Einar and her could be switched out. I think I was more emotionally tied to her, in terms of just my heartache, where Einar, I felt like he was more of a complete character that if something had happened to him, I would have felt less worried about. Somebody who has an advantage in terms of their optimism in a horrible world. I would have felt not as bad if he had to go. And I also I mostly put him there because I'm so thankful for him to be involved in the turn of the coin for these characters' lives. Because without him, we wouldn't have I don't think the Impact would have been able to get as far as it did with season 2. I think you needed a character like him for this season to even function. I think if there was any Deus Ex Machina character that's ever existed in the show without being annoyingly obvious, it would have been an Einar, because he fits so well at this time in the show. Damn, it's like having top 4. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. There's so many.
I feel like it's
good
valid.
characters
I feel like it's
in
valid for this show.
Yeah.
There's so many good ones too.
They introduced too many deep, flawed people in one season that it's like everybody has at least a layer or two that you can go into, and you're like, damn.
I like to say perfectly imperfect.
Yeah. For me, my number one's Torfin. It's hard to not pick the man that went through a complete metamorphosis. From starting from literally zero and building himself up to, the man he wants to be at this point, and that he feels like everyone should be, or everyone should at least attempt to be. Einar, I think something about someone that sticks by your side no matter what, and even will try and fight for you even if it's the wrong thing to do. Einar will fight to the death for Torfin and Arnheid, and even if he doesn't necessarily always agree with the way that Torfin wants to do things, he'll respect it and try and follow in that way. And even when he's going in the wrong direction, when he's taking charge, Torfin will help correct him, and he will listen, which I appreciate a lot. And then, damn, it's really hard because I will say Spherical because I'm with you. Any man that is as real as he is, and especially goes out of his way to impart wisdom and his thought process on things. to people who don't really either deserve it or need it or have no real, you know what I mean? Like, he could take the time and try and do this only with the people that really matter to him, but the fact that you take out, like, people who... he didn't seek them out, but take on some people that were willing to, you know, pass on his age-old wisdom and be humble along the way, because I think Circle is also very critical of himself and for his own faults and what he did or didn't do in his past. I think Armhide's my honorable mention. Very relatable. I feel for her pain. And ultimately she was the best catalyst and tried to do the right thing to help her family, but also protect Torfin and Einar as well.
Yeah. Yeah. There's and this is in the segment where we talk about all the characters that didn't make it onto that list. That very well could have been their own spotlighted have their own spotlighted moments that could have placed them here. I really don't think there was any like weak characters in the show. I think the closest to weak is Gardar, and that's purely because he's more of a character to cause plot and move it forward, to cause a dilemma so that our characters that we're going to be focusing on can push forward in however they will go forward, whether for the good or bad. So with that, I'll say he's the worst. Not because anything's wrong with him, other than I think that was really just the intention of his character, is to come in, let these characters now ascend on their different paths because of his involvement. I think Kettle was a unique character to get to deal with, and he's a great character for showing the feelings of the audience. being the prime first example of how to deal with this new ideology that the audience is tasked with trying to overcome, kind of being a force of opposition for us, while also balancing the fact that he is also a troubled person, just like the people that we're following in the show, and that, like, he's a great example of it's easy to extend our olive branch to our main characters, but not to the guy that's not the main character that also has done a horrible thing. So he's a very valid character. Olmar is a blossoming character I hope we can return to one day. We only got to see his early roots. Thorgel was just pure spectacle and hype. Nothing bad about that. Love it. Snake, great mysterious character. Glad we got to spend some time with him. He got to have basically a mini Torfin arc with less damage, less hardship, but kind of another Omar-esque type where he gets to be kind of inspired by the better man, and by wise older people who, there also goes there goes to show somebody's greatness when they're able to accept their own downfall and listen to people better than them, listen to their people wiser than them. I think that calls for praise. And just looking at the list, obviously Knut's a great banger when he ever shows up on screen. I love having this devilish nature, this devil character. He's not an actual devil, but this character that we can use as the antithesis to who we're following, for his own good reasons too. Because there's nothing better than having a rival, and a rival that makes sense, rather than one that's just there just to be annoying. And then of course the gang. I love Fox. I love Wolf, Badger, all of them. So they're all very fun characters. Leif Erikson obviously is a classic gem.
Bug-Eye, very important.
Torfin Jr., Torfin 2.
See, I liked actually. Bug-Eye was a part that was funny to me.
Yeah.
The fact that there's just a kid that looks just like our Torfin, but isn't him.
Slightly off Torfin.
I also love how he walked up and was like, Mom!
They're like, we don't need you for this.
That was funny.
That was
funny to me. Because that was like, dude, get the hell out of there.
Mom!
I also like that he called him Torfin, but once the real Torfin showed up, they just had to resort to calling him Bug-Eyes.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to have two Torfins. Torfin 1 and Torfin 2. Yeah. Alright, and then overall ranking, he said 9. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. Had nothing, full enjoyment out of it.
9.5.
9.5. There you have it, folks. Let us know all your thoughts. Favorite characters, favorite episodes, your personal ranking, or your hatred for it, which is also totally valid if you want to be a noob.
I've seen so much hate online. It's crazy. There's so much hatred.
You know,
Big rocks, bro.
This is a good show. I
Go watch Dragon Ball if this is too hard for you to understand, idiot.
if it's too hard, I think that's okay. I'm just saying I don't think people should shit on it because they don't understand it.
I'm talking for people who shit on something with no basis.
That is valid. Guys, we love you. We'll see you in the next reaction whenever we see you. Make sure to leave a like and all the things we already said. We'll see you whenever we see you. I'm sweaty. Love you. Punch it. Holy pit stains. 3 men in 1 room.
Three big hot men.
3 men, 1
Three big handsome
one
men.
kettle farm.